Well, the president's pushing ahead on his immigration reform plan against the objections of his own party. Well, a group of former Border Patrol agents say they would be willing to consider President Bush's guest worker program for illegal immigrants. They say, quote, "We believe guest workers must be limited in what they may do, what they may benefit from under immigration law, and the program must be tightly controlled. No alien in any illegal status should be allowed to participate." With me now to talk about the program that the president's still pushing, Pat Buchanan, MSNBC political analyst, and he's also the author of State of Emergency, The Third World Invasion and Conquest of America, and Benjamin Johnson. He's the director of the Immigration Policy Center. Pat Buchanan, let me begin with you.
Sure.
What's your take on these former border agents coming out and supporting the president's plan?
I don't think they support the president's plan. What they said is, folks who are here illegally, in other words, green card folks, if you make them put them in a guest worker program, we would have no objections if it's tightly controlled and you control the kind of benefits they get. But no illegal aliens need apply. That means no amnesty. If you read on further into what those fellows said, they said an amnesty like 1986, where we were involved, was a complete disaster. If you repeat that with 12 to 20 million people here, you will have an untold disaster in this country.
That's what the president wants to do, and his party's against him. But now that Democrats are taking over Congress, he's probably going to have a better chance of passing this measure through, isn't he?
You know, I thought so, Joe, but let me tell you this. The Democrats aren't moving on this, and for a good reason. This is social and political dynamite. In addition to that, they're going to have half a dozen presidential candidates out there. Biden was already hammered on this issue in South Carolina. He said, we got to enforce the employer sanctions. We got to make sure Mexico's economy expands. It's a corrupt government down there. He sounds like Pat Buchanan. You're going to get all of them sounding like this, Joe, when they're out there. They are not, let me say this, if prediction. Bush is for it, McCain, Kennedy, La Raza, the liberals, Pelosi. You're not going to get it because the people don't want it.
An overwhelming majority of people have been opposed to it for some time. Benjamin, let me bring you in here. What is your take on the politics of this issue? Do you think that Democrats in the Congress, combined with a president in the White House who wants immigration reform in the president's form, will work together to pass it?
Well, I think they have to. I think not doing anything on immigration reform is really going to be the dynamite. I think that this group of Border Patrol agents are joining a chorus of people who are saying the same thing. National security experts, economic experts, immigration experts, all saying the same thing, which is, yes, we need better immigration reform, or we need better immigration enforcement, but we can't stop there. We've got to create legal channels of immigration so people can and will follow the law. We have almost no temporary worker program in the United States for the undocumented immigrants that are coming into the United States. We have very few channels of permanent immigration for those workers. So everybody recognizes that what we need to do is have a holistic, comprehensive reform. Let's from top to bottom, let's reform this system so that we have more legal immigration, less illegal immigration, and a system that can be tightly controlled.
When you say reform the system, Benjamin, you're talking about allowing what? Allowing illegal immigrants to become citizens who came into this country illegally?
Well, listen, I think that we have to have honest, pragmatic conversations about what we do with the undocumented immigrants that are here today. And I think across the board, people recognize that uprooting 12 million undocumented immigrants who are living and working in the United States isn't a practical solution. You've got to find a way, a middle ground here that says, look, you broke the law, you got to get right with the law, and you got to pay a fine, and you got to learn English, and you got to do the things that we want you to do as a country to get on the road to being part of who we are as an American people.
Pat Buchanan, you can't send 12 million people home, can you?
Look, you know what you do? You're going to look, no citizenship because you're here illegally, no social welfare benefits because you're here illegally, and no jobs because we're going to punish the employers. Attrition will deal with it, but deportations, Joe, should start. Any gang member in this country who doesn't belong here ought to be arrested, put in jail, and sent back. Right. All we're asking the president to do is, Mr. President, enforce the laws of the United States. Is that asking too much?
Well, most Americans don't think so. Pat Buchanan, Benjamin Johnson, thank you so much for being with us. The debate will continue, and I look forward to having both of you back.
Look forward to it.
Still no answers, but even more questions in the case of that poisoned former Russian